G'day, I'm Neil and my handle is Wiley11. I'm just going to put my disclaimer here. Whatever I do and say on these videos is well-intentioned and well-meaning advice. I accept no liabilities whatsoever for any disclosures. If you take some advice or act on something that I'm saying on these videos, you do so entirely at your own risk. I'm doing it based on my experience. These videos are my attempt to give back to YouTube for the help and assistance that YouTube has given me. So once again, you follow along or follow advice from these videos entirely at your own risk. Okay, and if you're not happy to do that, click this off and off you go. Because this is purely my attempt to give back to YouTube, as I said, for the help and advice that I have received out of YouTube. So this is just my little attempt to give back. If you're all happy to follow along at your own risk, buckle up, sit in. Let's get into it. Hi folks, welcome back. My name's Neil and we're working on Project Violin. My handle's Wiley11, if you're wondering. So where we got to last time with this was we cleaned this up. Now when I got this, I got it at a reverse auction. I didn't pay a lot of money for it. It's a student's violin. And as you can see, it was in a bit of a state. And what I've done is I've tidied it up, given it a scrub up. It was covered in crayon. There were crayons in the middle of it. It was scratched up to buggery. It had shit everywhere. It was not looked after, and basically what I got was this, that, and this thing here. And what I've done is I've bought this, which you can't see very well unless you put it there, which came with that. I bought that, I bought strings, this, which is the bits that go with this, and I think I am ready to start assembling things. So I've got that to go on the thing. Now I checked them out. You can buy these for around about $89. You can see it's not a particularly, it's a Chinese Skylark brand. Students, it's quite old. It's quite a few years old, but it just never got looked after. It got crayoned, it got marked up, it probably got shat on, spat on, who knows. The case was in a hell of a state. I cleaned the case up, I got it clean, I got it to a point where at least the unit contains a violin. I also bought some rosin. Okay, so when we get done we might even be able to string this thing up and see what kind of squeak I can get it to squeak like. So the first job is to fit this to the violin. At least I assume it is. So it goes here, right? And then it's got this thing here which has some adjustable bits on it. Right, and that goes sort of in the back of that and around this little doogie here and back up to that. So I've got to put that in, and that's the first job, and then that'll sit in there against the butt of the violin like that. So the way it kind of fits together is that goes on, this goes underneath somehow, somewhere. I'm assuming where these scratches are here is where you put this. I don't know, somewhere here. Strings go on. There's the strings, they go on. Your chin rest goes on over this side somewhere. You got the bits and pieces that go in there. And that's all there is to it. So hopefully I'll be able to get it done. Well, it's not a very good vantage point, is it? I really need you to be up here somewhere. I don't know, there's just no one who can take this. Well, I guess what I can do is try to do the assembly. So you see here, this little doogie on the end here, it's threaded. It's not very well focused, is it? See if I can get it to focus on that. And that's threaded. Alright, so that'll tighten up on that spigot there. Or eyelet, spigot, whatever you want to call it. So that pushes into the base of this black thing here. Alright, it goes in that way. Wraps around that thing at the bottom, comes back up to the eyelet. And then this one here goes on the other side. So that's job one, is to put that on. Let's get that done. I'll be back in a minute. Right, so what we're doing is we're repairing these hinges with the old car repair kit. So what we've done is we've hammered back these rivets using that dolly and that hammer. I can't show you doing it because I don't know how to work the camera and do the job. But these were loose as buggery. The lid was falling apart from the case down in there, and what I've done is I've hammered them back. See, this one here has still got that little bit of a gap there, but it's way better than it was. They were hanging off. You can see in there the hinge is now nice and tight it's nice and tight. Hopefully you guys aren't getting seasick. But those hinges are now all hammered up real good. Real good. And you can open that lid up and it's a lot more comfortable than it was. Now, I've had 3 goes at trying to make this bloody thing here stay there with the Charlie Cheap super glue. Right? And it just hasn't. It just refuses to stay in situ here at all. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it in. I tried gluing it in. I'm going to get some blue thread and a needle. I'm just going to put some tacks in it to tack that in place so it'll stay there. I'm going to have another crack with the glue, but I'm going to use the good super glue instead of the Charlie Cheaps, because it doesn't. That's Charlie Cheap super glue result there, right? It comes apart. But I'm going to have a crack at it with the hardware store super glue, which is a better quality of super glue. And then I'll put a couple of little tacks. See here, I can tack with a thread. Just a needle and thread, just go around it a couple of times and make sure it stays. And that way that'll hold the bow where it needs to be held. I'm pretty happy with the job I've done on this case. It wasn't like that when I got it, I can guarantee you. It wasn't even close. But now at least it's got half a chance. You can see here this is all ripped off. I might just cut that away and put a new something or other in there. I don't know yet. I don't like seeing this sort of thing. I might just cut that away. I'm pretty sure my niece will look after it very well. Righto, back to get the furniture polish, get the super glue, and then try to assemble everything. Righto. Righto, so what went on there is they're in with a loop on them, and the loop fits around that nicely. Thank you for coming. And I've got it adjusted so that it just goes over the end of that. Rightio, so that's how we end up. However, now we've got to fit these wonderful contraptions here into this. So, part 2. Stay tuned. Right, so we're recording again. What's going on here is, I haven't worked this out yet, but this has to go through this unit. So what I've done is I've removed the bits to it, and I think what I've got to do is I've got to put that in like this, and it sort of goes that way. Then this has to go on. Sorry guys, let's see if I can set this up so you can see what's going on. Yeah, I'm not good at this. Definitely not good at this. Okay, so that's gone through there. I think this has to go on next. And it's got to go a specific way up. I think that there's a collar that has to go down into the piece. I guess I could look at one that's done. It might give me half a clue. But I'm just not that smart. I'm just going for it. Right, so now that, I guess, stays in there like that. Except it can't. How the hell is... Oh, I see. The string goes through here. So the string actually goes through this thing, through the top. And what this does, right, I got it. So it's a fine tuner. So all of them go on like that. That's how they work. And when the string pulls tight, that's your fine tuner. You can tension the string here. See, you can pull it in, or release it. But you see, I can see what's been going on with this, because you can see here they've been scratching up on the surface of the violin here. See that? So that bit there, it's sitting on the bottom, that thing there. Yeah, it's been hitting on that, see? So there's nothing there to stop that from doing that. So perhaps what you should do is put a bit of something down there to stop it, so that it can't. See how that hits that? Let's see if I can show it to you. See there? It's whacking onto that wood, which is not ideal, and that's how those marks have got there. So the plot thickens. I don't believe that's supposed to hit the wood. I believe it's supposed to not hit the wood, in fact. What I might do is I might just lay a bit of clear sellotape over that to give it some protection. I think I will. I'm just going to put some clear sellotape down across there. You know what else too? This has still got marks on it. You can see there the residual marks. I got a lot of it off, but there's still a lot left. And I think what I want to do is give this another polish up before I go any further. But I'll put the rest of that hardware in and we'll go from there. Right, so here we are, done. It's not focusing very well. Alright, so they're on there. Now what's occurred to me is that perhaps someone would like to turn these one day, and while they move fairly freely, there's no lubrication at all on any of this hardware. But it's all in situ. As you can see here, someone went a little bit too hard with it one day, and through here, see that? Well, that's come off this, off these things. And yeah, someone wasn't terribly complimentary with the old girl about that. So you can still see some marks here. This is the residual of crayon that I thought I got it all off, but obviously I haven't. So I'm going to go back to the old furniture polish and give this another going over with the furniture polish before I go any further with any more hardware. That's ready to go. This is all ready to go. So we've got the bridge. So that goes in place like that on the violin. This will go in underneath the strings. Then will come the strings, and then that'll sit in. That's your chin rest. So that has to go back on the violin up here. We'll put it all back together, get it going. I just want to give it a polish over before it gets all that hardware on, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of clear sellotape over this. Just a piece of clear sticky tape. Just a small bit. Just to give it that little bit of protection against that gouging another piece out of it. Because whoever's had this has not looked after it, eh? They just haven't looked after it. And I thought, I saw this thing at the auction. It looked really, really sad. And I was the only one that even bid on it, and I got it, you know. And I think it deserves to get played. So I've got rosin. I can rosin that bow up. It's got one bow, it's got a violin, it's got a bridge. I think what I'm going to do next is just move forwards with the polish. Put the hardware on, put the strings on. And see whether we can get it to my niece. Okay.